Tariffs are about making America rich again and making America great again, and it's happening, and it will happen rather quickly.
His claims are openly questioned, but Donald Trump's tariffs are now a reality. Tonight, his global trade war targets a longtime U.S. partner, Canada.
Their closest partner and ally, their closest friend.
Canadian exports now taxed at 25%, energy products at 10%.
This is a very dumb thing to do.
Ottawa's answer? Anger, contempt, and Canadian tariffs.
We will not back down from a fight.
But in fights like this, the losers are a cross-border mix. Ordinary Americans lose.
It impacts our ability to put food on the table for our families.
Their Canadian neighbors lose.
We're all going to pay more, right? That's the bottom line.
Businesses and communities lose.
That's going to mean job losses.
This is going to destroy this city.
And what about this? Has Canada lost a trusted U.S. partner?
What he wants is to see a total collapse of the Canadian economy, because that'll make it easier to annex us.
A potential global realignment from factories and farms to your kitchen table. Tariffs have arrived, so it's time for facts over fear.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. From beginning to end, Donald Trump set the terms of this day. At its very start, the tariffs he's long threatened and sometimes delayed came in with what's feared will be devastating effect. Then tonight, at a joint session of Congress, he explained why he wants them so much. Canada's response to the tariffs was swift. The Prime Minister spelling out the immediate retaliation, the response from businesses and communities across the country, a combination of concern, confusion, and grim determination. The tariffs will hit Canadians in layers, and so tonight we'll peel them back. Let's start with Katie Simpson, who is standing by in the U.S. Capitol. So, Katie, Canada got a mention 4 times. Tariffs got a few mentions.
Yeah, and Donald Trump is fiercely defending tariffs and hoping that they will help generate wealth for America to help pay for some of his bigger picture promises to American voters. He spoke very highly of tariffs, specifically calling out Canada and Mexico, of course, in light of this tariff war that is now underway. Those 25% tariffs on Canadian goods and Mexican goods as well, a 10% tariff on Canadian energy products. During his speech to Congress, which was quite contentious, he defended the tariffs and really firmly stood by his decision.
Much has been said over the last 3 months about Mexico and Canada, but we have very large deficits with both of them. But even more importantly, they've allowed fentanyl to come into our country at levels never seen before, killing hundreds of thousands of our citizens and many very young, beautiful people, destroying families. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. They are, in effect, receiving subsidies of hundreds of billions of dollars. We pay subsidies to Canada and to Mexico of hundreds of billions of dollars, and the United States will not be doing that any longer. We're not going to do it any longer.
In typical Trump fashion, he offered a wide range of reasons, as you just heard there, whether it's the deficit, whether, it's his ongoing concerns about trade irritants, and as well as concerns about fentanyl entering the United States. That is the legal justification that the Trump administration is using for these tariffs. But as we've heard from the president himself, he often offers a wide range of reasons. One thing he did warn Americans to brace for what he called a disturbance, an acknowledgement that, yeah, these tariffs could, in the short term, make life even more expensive.
Katie, you also ran into Howard Lutnick, U.S. Commerce Secretary, after that speech. What was his message?
He is the one who is advising President Trump on what to do next. And so Canadians have been very anxious to hear what it is he has to say. The last couple of days, he's sort of opened the door to the idea that tariffs, that the rate of tariff against Canada could be negotiated, possibly lower. We ran into him here on Capitol Hill. Have a listen. Is there room for the tariff rate against Canada to drop?
I think there's going to be a discussion. Canada has offered us an enormous amount, again, to do better. And I think we're talking to the president, and I think there's some room, but we'll decide tomorrow. We're looking at all the offers that they've made, and I think there'll be room tomorrow, and we'll announce that tomorrow.
What is it exactly that you want, though?
Well, fentanyl deaths in America need to come down.
So he made that claim that Canada's making all kinds of offers, but when I asked him for some specifics, he didn't have any. I also asked him what he thought about Prime Minister Justin Trudeau accusing Donald Trump of trying to weaken the Canadian economy in order to annex Canada. He sort of laughed it off, describing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's comments as sad and something that someone who is on their way out of office would say. I also asked him about the anger in Canada. Does that matter to him? What does he want to say to Canadians? And he went back to the point about fentanyl, saying that fentanyl deaths need to come down in the United States. It is important to remind Canadians that less than 1% of the fentanyl that enters the U.S. is seized along the northern border. It is a very different situation along the southern border. However, the Trump administration says that does not matter to them as they push forward with that justification for these tariffs. But again, Adrian, we've heard the president say all kinds of reasons as to why he's going ahead.
Yeah, you bet. And Katie, thank you for that. And just a heads up, Katie, and to the viewers, your whole interview will be published on our YouTube page, and we'll have a little bit more of it for everyone a little later in the show. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks.
Just hours after Prime Minister Trudeau took aim at Trump with retaliatory tariffs, and in that very pointed press conference, CBC News has learned that the Prime Minister has a plan to reach out to the president. Ashley Burke is in Ottawa, breaking that story for us tonight. What can you tell us, Ashley?
Well, Adrian, the Prime Minister said that he's been trying to talk to Donald Trump in recent days, but he hasn't had any luck. Now CBC News has learned Justin Trudeau told premiers today he hopes to speak to Trump on Wednesday, but that the situation is fluid and could change. Now, that's all according to a government official with knowledge of the First Minister's virtual meeting. It unfolded on day one of this trade war after the Prime Minister delivered a forceful address to Canadians, Americans, and Trump. Trudeau took direct aim at the U.S. president, making frank comments that we have never heard him publicly make before. The trade war is on, and for Justin Trudeau, the gloves are off.
It's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal. But Donald, they point out that even though you're a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do.
The Prime Minister calling out Donald Trump like never before. And his audience, not just Canadian, the message carried live across the U.S.
Excuse that he's giving for these Paris tariffs today of fentanyl is completely bogus, completely unjustified, completely false.
The real reason, Trudeau says, is what Trump's repeatedly said before.
What he wants is to see a total collapse of the Canadian economy, because that'll make it easier to annex us.
All this, Trudeau says, as Trump moves America away from its allies and closer to Moscow.
They're talking about working positively with Russia, appeasing Vladimir Putin, a lying, murderous dictator. Make that make sense.
Canada is fighting back, starting with tariffs on $30 billion worth of U.S. goods, including everything from groceries to alcohol to guns, with a promise to increase that number to $155 billion in a few weeks.
President Trump stabbed America's best friend in the back.
Conservatives want any money from the retaliatory tariffs to go towards tax cuts,
with a small sum set aside for targeted relief to workers hardest hit by the trade war.
But the NDP says that doesn't make sense.
If you cut someone's taxes, they have no income, what's the point? I'm talking about getting people the protection in place that they need so they can actually survive.
The Prime Minister was blunt, saying that this trade war will be tough for Canadians, but his message for Americans is that they will suffer too, and it's because of the decision that their government is making.
And so, Ashley, what else is the Canadian government doing in this moment?
Well, Adrian, Trudeau said they plan on expanding EI benefits to help Canadians, but has yet to announce the details, and said the government will legally challenge what he called America's illegal actions at the World Trade Organization and through the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement. And for his part, Trump tonight threatened to expand and escalate this trade war even more, saying he'll reciprocate against any retaliatory tariffs. Adrian?
And so it goes. All right, Ashley Burke in Ottawa. Thank you. Now, as they have been since the tariff threat began, Canada's premiers are on the front lines of that fight, part of a Team Canada approach. Olivia Stefanovich shows us their battle plans.
A premier's pride on defiant display.
Oh, Canada, this is our home and native land, and I think today all of us are patriots.
The maple leaf draped over the Manitoba legislature on the day U.S. tariffs took effect, and premiers announced their own retaliatory responses.
But unfortunately, some people seem to need to touch the hot stove to learn that it's hot.
We're mad as hell, and we are going to fight for our country.
To see this escalation is so disappointing, so damaging.
Ordering U.S. alcohol cleared from government liquor stores. Banning or canceling contracts with U.S. firms, including Ontario's $100 million deal with Elon Musk's Starlink.
We won't award contracts to people who enable and encourage economic attacks.
But Ontario's Doug Ford did not shut off lights for American customers. Instead, he's threatening a 25% surcharge on electricity exports if Trump doesn't relent, and he's not alone.
We must not rule out anything for the future.
The premiers say they've kept their side of Donald Trump's challenge, spending tens of millions of dollars to boost border security.
I would say that without doubt, the president's demands were met. And yet, it did not matter.
Now, there's a growing fear of a darker motive. Some premiers convinced Trump wants to weaken Canada's economy and leave it ripe for annexation.
That sounds chilling to say out loud. But the sooner that Canadians realize what he says is what he means, the better we will all be.
The premiers held another virtual meeting with the Prime Minister focused on support for Canadian workers and businesses, ahead of an expected announcement tomorrow to boost trade between provinces. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Ottawa.
One of the first concerns for many Canadians, how fast is this going to hit your wallet? Sophia Harris went in search of the changes shoppers should expect and why it's not just the price of American goods that's set to spike.
One of the first casualties of the tariff war, American booze, removed from liquor stores across many provinces, including Nova Scotia, Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, and BC. This Toronto shopper arrived early to grab some U.S. bourbon before it disappears.
I'll be getting as much as I can, but unfortunately that's what we have to do. I'm going to miss it.
But it's not just lack of choice. Canadians will also be hit with higher prices on any U.S. product now slapped with retaliatory tariffs, including many food items and appliances.
We're all going to pay more, right? That's the bottom line.
When might we see these higher prices?
Quickly, 1 to 2 weeks.
This professor says that short timeline will mainly apply to high turnover products like food, where retailers keep low inventory. He also says the tariff war will weaken the Canadian dollar, impacting all foreign goods, not just those made in America.
All imports, no matter where they come from on planet Earth, will become more expensive with the currency, the Canadian dollar depreciating. That's the really pernicious effect of the tariffs. So we have to pay more Canadian dollars to buy any goods that are coming into Canada.
I make sure everything has a Canadian sign on it.
Some shoppers are taking a stand by seeking out Canadian goods.
Trying to buy Canadian.
How has that gone for you?
Pretty good. There's not a lot of choice in some products.
There's another problem. Buying Canadian may still result in higher prices if the U.S. products you're replacing them with were cheaper.
For many of the goods that are tariffed, these are goods that, again, people were buying because they were the cheapest. So you can only avoid the effect of the tariff by switching to a more expensive product.
Still, for some, buying Canadian is an act of patriotism. And it's more difficult to put a price on that. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Vancouver.
The market certainly reacted swiftly to the tariff announcement, a major reversal from a few short months ago. In November, Trump's win was rocket fuel, boosting the markets to new heights with expectations his administration would be a huge lift to the economy. But now, as the tariffs come in, markets have tanked, erasing those big gains with losses in the trillions. So let's bring in Peter Armstrong now in Washington. Peter, tonight Trump promised to address this, nightmare inflation, but the trade war won't do that, right?
No, it won't. And look, you raise one of the many and obvious contradictions in this tariff policy, right? Trump says he's doing all this to bring down prices and to make Americans richer, and yet the auto industry. That's just one of, and maybe the hardest to be hit by tariffs. Assembly lines are going to shut down in a week or 10 days because if you can't get the steel to make the part for the engine, you can't put the engine in the car. That whole chain breaks down. And that entire industry is built on that concept. And tariffs will make auto workers poorer and more unemployed. Same thing for farmers. They embrace the president, but the last time there was a trade war, U.S. agricultural products were slapped by retaliatory tariffs from China, and the president had to come up with $30 billion in a bailout package to help them survive. Those kinds of contradictions are everywhere.
Take us through the trading picture this week in particular, the futures, the Dow, what's happening?
Yeah, so investors kind of had to reconcile those contradictions because we know tariffs drive up prices, they drive up unemployment, they drive up uncertainty, and they drive down economic growth. That's eventually going to dip into profits, right? So investors, they didn't believe Trump was real on any of this. They thought this was just some kind of a threat. So when he said finally, whatever that was, yesterday, that he was going to make good on this threat, investors suddenly had to price in a lot of risk. And that explains the sell-off that we've seen, and it wiped out all the gains we've seen since Trump was elected. We're looking here just in the last 3 days at 3% drops on the S&P, the Dow, and the TSX. And as I say, that wiped out all the gains those markets had seen since Trump was elected. To borrow a phrase from Trump himself, all that, it's just getting started.
Right. Okay, Peter Armstrong in Washington. Thanks, Peter.
You bet.
So let's take a closer look at reaction inside the United States tonight. Lawmakers, as you might expect, are divided along party lines. As Katie Nicholson shows us, while Republicans are mostly sticking by the president, not all Americans are convinced.
As tariffs on the goods that cross this bridge kicked in, so did the messaging.
The underlying element of these tariffs is we think the Canadians have not been serious about stopping the drug trade.
Many Republicans echoing President Donald Trump's false assertions and views on trade.
All these countries around the world have taken advantage of America.
The Republican Senate Majority Leader more tepid.
What I'm willing to do is give the president some latitude.
Democrats livid.
We didn't need to have these tariffs. Nothing dictated that we had to have these tariffs at this moment in history.
And furious that the president who signed the last free trade agreement seems to have blown it up.
He signed it. When you sign a contract with someone, your word matters. These are our neighbors.
Retailers like Walmart and Target, already fearing a less than sunny outlook, warned tariffs may drive up prices and drive down sales. Americans like small business owner Michael Howard caught in the middle.
I think it's completely reckless.
Materials for his furniture will cost more, and that will likely have to be passed on to the consumer. But he's more worried about those already barely getting by.
I pulled up at the pump the other day and saw somebody put $1.26 in the pump. Like, for some folks, a 25% increase on that could mean making it or not, and impact our ability to put food on the table for our families.
But the concerns extend well beyond the kitchen table, all the way to national security.
You're worried about Chinese and Russian ships in the Arctic, and so we're going to have a breach of our work with Canada? It doesn't make sense.
There is, of course, another cost it may take Americans a while to tally, the fraying of these key relationships and whether they will ever be fully mended. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Toronto.
When we come back, the reaction from Alberta's oil patch.
The refiners in the United States are going to have higher costs. American consumers are going to have a higher cost.
What the trade war means for Canada's oil industry.
Mexico and Canada, have you heard of them? And countless other nations charge us tremendously higher tariffs than we charge them. It's very unfair.
That, of course, was Donald Trump taking aim at Canada and Mexico in his speech in the U.S. Congress, defending the tariffs on Canadian goods that kicked in Tuesday. So as you saw earlier, when that presidential address came to an end, Katie Simpson was able to get a few questions to Trump's Commerce Secretary. Howard Lutnick is tasked with fronting the U.S. position on tariffs. Here's an extended clip of his interaction with Katie.
I think there's going to be a discussion. Canada has offered us an enormous amount, again, to do better. And I think we're talking to the president, and I think there's some room, but we'll decide tomorrow. We're looking at all the offers that they've made, and I think there'll be room tomorrow, and we'll announce that tomorrow.
What is it exactly that you want, though?
Well, fentanyl deaths in America need to come down, right? It's black and white. Autopsy, fentanyl deaths in America need to come down. They need to come down from Mexico and Canada. You don't think, oh, Canada, you know, the most terrorists on our watch list have come from the northern border. So you have to realize it's Mexico and Canada that fentanyl comes from, and we need it to go down. And I think Canada made us an excellent offer today, and we're talking to the president.
What do you mean by offer? What do you mean excellent offer? What does that mean?
More work on the border.
Like, is any
more
specifics?
work on the border. No, lots of details. We're going through it together, and the president's thinking about that, and we'll see what we do tomorrow.
Canadians in this moment are extremely angry. What do you say to them?
I'd say to them, you can't have fentanyl come into America. You can't have open borders with America. America gave Canadians an incredible invitation to trade with America. They had the greatest opportunity ever, and they just invited the wrong people to the party with them. They're closing their borders. They're stopping the fentanyl. I'm hoping they can get it done, but in the meantime, I think there's going to be some tariffs. We're talking about it tomorrow. There will be tariffs, but the question is there room from where we are today till tomorrow? And I think the answer is yes, but we'll see what the president says tomorrow.
Okay, so Canada's auto industry is bracing for a huge hit from the tariffs. Nisha Patel is in Canada's auto capital, Windsor, Ontario, where workers and companies are already under pressure.
Parts made at this Windsor manufacturing plant used to cross the border freely. Now they're subject to a 25% tariff.
It hurts us. It's shameful that it's gone to this. It will likely erode any profit that we would have. We buy American.
Owner Jonathan Azzopardi plans to absorb some costs and cut other spending. But he says if tariffs last longer than a few weeks, the impact will be severe.
A lot of companies, including our own, are going to have to make some tough decisions.
A similar sentiment across the border in Michigan. This auto parts maker imports 30% of its materials from Canada.
It means dramatically increased costs that we might not be able to recover.
And if American companies stop buying, it won't take long before Canadian companies feel it.
You're going to go at it as long as you can. We've got 24-hour inventories typically. You might have 48 hours.
The assembly lines in the auto sector will shut down within 10 days, I predict.
Plus, there could be more shockwaves ahead. Donald Trump has threatened a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum on March 12th and a 25% tariff on all auto imports on April 2nd. Industry analysts say if the current tariffs aren't changed or lifted, a third of North American vehicle production could be cut by next week.
This is going to destroy this city and this community. We can't have a 25% tariff. These companies can't afford this.
With thousands of jobs on the line, workers like Kathy McKay are on edge.
I'm worried not just for me, but every other worker, including the ones that may not see a pension because of all this nonsense across the border, and it's so unnecessary.
For now, auto workers say they're heading in for their shifts as usual, and they're taking things day by day. The big three automakers, Stellantis, Ford, and GM, continue to push for exemptions from these tariffs. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Windsor, Ontario.
Trump's tariff on Canada's energy sector is lower than other goods, but the impact there could still be devastating. We have reaction from Alberta next.
We pay subsidies to Canada and to Mexico of hundreds of billions of dollars, and the United States will not be doing that any longer. We're not going to do it any longer.
All right, Donald Trump applauded there during his speech to U.S. Congress as he threatened Canada. The president said tariffs are about protecting what he called the soul of the U.S. Canada's oil patch also reeling tonight. Energy is by far Canada's biggest export to the U.S. So even though that tariff is just 10%, an awful lot of jobs and government revenues are now at risk. Here's Julia Wong.
In this energy-producing town, tariffs on Canadian oil and gas feel personal for workers like Corey Sturm.
Frustrating, because we just don't know. We absolutely don't know. So it's just, yeah, it's a hard thing to even swallow.
Alberta sends almost all of its crude oil to the United States. The tariff on Canadian energy is disappointing, Premier Danielle Smith told a U.S. cable channel.
Everyone's going to take a little bit of a bite on that. Our producers are. The refiners in the United States are going to have higher costs. American consumers are going to have a higher cost.
The sector will feel the impacts quickly, says one industry group, especially as Canada retaliates.
It's going to cause impacts to our economy. It's going to deter more investment coming into this country. And at the end of the day, that's going to mean job losses.
With oil and gas revenue so crucial to Alberta's budget, some are musing over what happens next.
I think a big question now is whether or not the Canadian government retaliates at some point with an export tax.
That would further raise the price of Canada's energy for U.S. consumers. And then there's the long term to consider.
We definitely do need basically a pipeline in every direction except south is kind of the mantra I've been going with.
For now, workers like Sturm remain on edge.
It's pretty much just wait to see exactly what direction this is going to push. I don't see a bonus of this by far at all means. It's going to be negative, and I think it's going to be negative on both sides.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith says the province fully supports the federal response. She's meeting with her cabinet to discuss the province's next steps, which will be announced Wednesday. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. Tonight, the swift and dramatic impact of tariffs on communities, industries, and both national economies. Donald Trump's trade war will hit far and wide, putting at risk hundreds of thousands of jobs, billions in losses. We'll break down how it will affect you and what you buy.
The first thing we're going to see get more expensive is groceries.
But first,
the excuse that he's giving for these tariffs today of fentanyl is completely bogus.
Donald Trump has used a variety of claims to justify his tariffs, but are any of them true? And what else could be at stake? Ellen Morrow breaks down his justifications and Canada's rebuttals.
We have to stop fentanyl. It's pouring in from China through Mexico and Canada, and they've got to stop it.
Donald Trump's tariff justifications have been all over the place.
Did you know that American banks are not allowed to do business in Canada? What they have to do is build their car plants, frankly, and other things in the United States, in which case they have no tariffs.
And when it comes to Canada, some of his arguments just don't stand up.
The excuse that he's giving for these tariffs today of fentanyl is completely bogus, completely unjustified.
Stopping fentanyl and migrants crossing into the U.S. was the first and main reason for tariffs stated by Trump.
Canada's a very bad abuser also. Vast numbers of people to come in and fentanyl to come in. The fentanyl coming through Canada is massive.
But comparatively, it just isn't. Look at the blue. That's how much fentanyl comes in from Mexico. The red, how much comes in from Canada. Overall, Canada makes up just 0.2% of all U.S. border fentanyl seizures. And last year, illegal migrant crossings from Canada were just a fraction, about 1.5% of those along the U.S.-Mexico border. Canada has also stepped up border enforcement since Trump first threatened tariffs.
I want to speak first directly to the American people. The legal pretext your government is using to bring in these tariffs is that Canada is apparently unwilling to help in the fight against illegal fentanyl. Well, that is totally false.
Then there's Trump's claim that American banks aren't allowed to do business in Canada.
Can you believe that?
But that too isn't accurate. 16 U.S.-based banks are operating in Canada, according to the country's Bankers Association, making up half of all foreign bank assets in Canada. You can see their offices on the streets of Toronto.
I heard he talked about banking again this morning in a tweet, which Doesn't make any sense. American banks are alive and well and prospering in Canada.
So if Trump's claims are so easily debunked, what else is going on?
I want to cut taxes on Americans while putting tariffs on China and foreign countries to take in billions and billions of dollars.
In 2017, the first Trump administration passed sweeping tax cuts that Trump now has promised to extend.
We're bringing them down very substantially, even from the original Trump tax cuts.
The plan is set to cost a staggering $4.5 trillion. So tariffs, Trump's own advisors say, could come in handy.
President Trump has a great new tax cut, the largest in history, and tariffs can easily pay for that.
Whether that's true or false, it fits with Trump's own love of tariffs.
I think they're beautiful. It's going to make us rich. Tariff, I love tariff.
But it's a harder argument to make when it comes to justifying them on a close ally. To impose the tariffs, Trump is invoking presidential emergency powers, bypassing Congress. And key to that, his insistence that the flow of fentanyl from Canada poses a national security risk.
People are getting killed and families are being destroyed.
No matter how tiny the amount may actually be.
Well, tonight, in his address to U.S. lawmakers, Donald Trump claimed his reasons for the tariffs are trade deficits with Canada and Mexico. Now, the threat of those tariffs has been intense for the last month. Earlier, before Trump's speech, I spoke with Canada's Minister of Finance, Dominic LeBlanc, about how Canada has prepared since then, including what Ottawa is doing to tackle interprovincial trade barriers. Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc, thank you for being with us tonight. You know, so Canada has had a month, I mean, arguably months, to get ready for this. So beyond talking to Americans, what has this country done to make Canada more resilient?
We've made significant progress, Adrienne, and the premiers have worked on this in a very real way with the Government of Canada on reducing internal trade barriers within Canadian provinces and territories. That's one very concrete example, which might add up to 3 or 4% to the GDP of Canada. Very important thing to do. My colleague, the Minister of Natural Resources, is looking at a whole series of critical mineral projects, of resource projects, including raising capital from other countries other than the United States to put us in a position to develop some of these projects. But more than anything, Adrienne, we've been working to avoid these tariffs. We think, as the Prime Minister said today, it's not justified at all by any of the objective data at the border in terms of the illicit traffic of fentanyl. But if the President and the Government of the United States has decided to do this, our response, our strong response, should not surprise anyone, including Howard Lutnick in my conversation with him today.
What can you tell us about your discussion with him today?
We've kept an ongoing conversation, obviously on the weekend and yesterday. I wanted to talk to him to understand why the President had made this decision when we believe that all of what we were doing with the Americans at the border and in terms of the fight against fentanyl, which is entirely in Canada's interest, we thought that this was well received by the Americans and certainly a very significant effort by both governments. So I had a brief conversation with him earlier this afternoon. I'm going to talk to him again late tonight. I'm confident that we can continue to discuss a way to frankly get these tariffs lifted on Canadian businesses and on Canadian companies and return to respecting the free trade agreement.
Lifted. I mean, that's interesting because he told Fox Business that Trump will reach a middle ground with Canada and Mexico on tariffs and that an announcement to that effect was expected on Wednesday. What does that mean?
Again, I saw that comment of Howard's on Fox News. We're not interested in some sort of reduction of the tariffs. We want the free trade agreement with the United States and Mexico respected. And we'll continue to work with the government of the United States on issues once the tariffs are lifted and the respect of the free trade agreement is returned. So, and I said that to Mr. Lutnick, to Howard this afternoon. We'll see what they come back with as a conversation, but this is not meeting somebody sort of halfway or reducing the tariffs. We want to ensure that Canadian goods and services can enter the United States free of tariffs. And the same thing, the tariffs that we put in place to respond to this unfair attack on our economy will also remain in place until the free trade agreement is respected.
So the president posted another message today, I'm sure you saw it, effectively saying, can someone please explain to the prime minister that there will be reciprocal tariffs on retaliatory tariffs by a like amount, which I'm sure you have plenty of adjectives for. But there is an argument that when Canada imposes retaliatory tariffs, it will also hurt Canadians. And a lot of people want to know how this makes economic sense to do this.
So I think we have to be honest with Canadians, Adrian, that the same people that say to us we need to defend the Canadian economy, stand up to this unfair American attack on our economy, the retaliatory tariffs will necessarily not be without pain for Canadian businesses. So we're conscious of that. We talked to the premiers about that today. I think everybody understands that. It's an essential element to convince American businesses and American political leaders that this is not in their interest to do this. It's the American government that has decided to do something that will have very negative consequences for American consumers and American businesses. I think we're realistic. It's not going to be pleasant for Canadians, but they expect their government to take a firm, strong position in the face of this unprovoked attack on our economy. That's exactly what we're doing.
All right. Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc, thank you for your time.
Have a great evening. Thank you for inviting me on the program.
Coming up, how the tariffs could hit your personal finances and what you can do to get through. That's next. A U.S. Canada trade war will hit communities hard on both sides of the border. That means jobs and purchasing power, a big burden on the consumer pocketbooks, how they spend and what they buy.
So yeah, those types of things are going to hit us and hit us fast.
Lauren Bird explains what you can do to lessen the blow with prices likely to rise, putting the squeeze on your ability to pay.
For Canadian consumers weary of seemingly endless rising prices, tariffs are only going to make things worse. Everything from food to housing to appliances is expected to get more expensive. And now, a trade war with the U.S. is causing a lot of uncertainty for people and their budgets. So, when it comes to your personal finances, where are you likely going to feel it the most?
The first thing we're going to see get more expensive is groceries.
The stuff that's perishable, the stuff that has a very long supply chain that needs to be continuously fed is where we're going to see it surface first.
Let's start there. Farmers in Canada aren't growing much fruit and vegetables this time of year. Oranges, berries, cucumbers, all those kinds of items get imported daily, but they all just got tariffed, meaning they're likely to get more expensive quickly. And I don't need to tell you this, but Canadians already spend a lot at the grocery store. The average family of 4 in Canada spent about $16,000 on groceries in 2024.
We can expect that $16,000 to balloon. And so we're again going to have to look at our household budget and say, what can we afford and what do we have to let go for this week or this month?
Those are hard decisions, and they get really important when it comes to those big ticket items. Things like cars, electronics, and appliances coming from the US are now all subject to tariffs. And with so much uncertainty, analysts say you might be better off thinking twice before making a purchase.
If you have a fridge that you know is on the fritz and you've already been talking about replacing it, this may be a time to really get that fridge replaced quickly, because those prices, those appliances and cars and those big ticket items, those are expected to go up in cost.
And if we go even bigger, like housing, we're also going to see increases. According to analysts, builders have been seeing costs for materials rise for weeks leading up to the promised steel and aluminum tariffs.
And that's going to make housing more expensive. That's going to make less homes available for families, whether they've been on the market trying to buy a home for a while, or new Canadians. And that's not good news.
Because those costs filter down. We know the price of food impacts the price we pay at restaurants. The cost of building materials impacts the cost of a new home. And analysts we spoke to say the longer this goes on, Even the items that aren't tariffed are likely going to get more expensive, making it hard, even impossible, for Canadians to get around those extra costs. Now, there are a few reasons for that. One is a lack of options when it comes to getting those products elsewhere.
Even if there were substitutes, they are going to lead to higher prices. So yeah, those types of things are going to hit us and hit us fast.
Canada could try and diversify where it gets its supply, but the further you go to get some products, say to Central America or Asia, the more it's going to cost in shipping, and those costs trickle down to the consumer. Now, you could buy Canadian when it's possible, or try and stick with supply chains already in existence. Let's say you do really need that dishwasher. You could buy a German model instead of American. But as prices rise for some products, analysts say, businesses may see an opportunity to raise their prices as well.
Once those costs get passed on, does it incentivize anybody with competing products to increase their prices? It is possible that in a worst case scenario, yeah, we could see some pretty vicious inflation. Maybe not as high as 2022, but certainly not in the Bank of Canada's 1% to 3% range.
Part of the reason we're seeing costs climb so much is the lower Canadian dollar, which has been hovering at or below 70 cents American, and it's expected to get even lower.
Straight up, a weak Canadian dollar makes imports more expensive. So right there, you have an additional cost of living problem to deal with.
It's also going to make traveling to the U.S. more expensive. That $200 a night hotel is almost $300 Canadian right now, which is why staying in the country for your holidays this summer might ease a little pressure.
It may be a good idea to travel in Canada or travel somewhere in our own province or in near your own city, because you're paying in Canadian dollars. You don't have that currency shock when you get that exchange rate. Keeps the money also in the local economy.
Ultimately, how expensive this could get for you really depends on how long it lasts. Analysts say if these tariffs are in place for more than 3 or 4 months, that could put this country into a recession.
The tariffs could wreck the Canadian economy, leading to higher unemployment, a recession.
Meaning businesses either have to lay people off or charge more. So going to the movies, going out to drinks, even getting your nails done, the cost of all that too could rise.
And the other one is when it comes to investments. A lot has been made about, what should I do with my investments? Usually we are very bad at timing the market. It's better just to stay in the market and keep your long-term financial goals in sight.
So in the face of so much uncertainty, one of the best precautions is to not make any sudden moves. Keep your investments, save where you can, use what you've got.
Unfortunately, it's the same messaging for the last 5 years. Stay out of debt, don't take on unnecessary loans, don't make big ticket purchases that you don't need to, and go back to that old-fashioned advice of just making sure that everything you're bringing home you're consuming.
And Lauren reminds us that while buying Canadian helps local businesses, don't forget it can be pricier. Coming up, a look across this country at how Canadians are feeling.
I do not buy any American products.
Pay for it. Keep it in Canada.
Trump's tariffs bring out all the emotions. Next, stay with us. As the Trump tariffs crash down on Canada, it's been a difficult day for many people to wrap their heads around. So here's what Canadians are telling us at this extraordinary moment in this country's history.
Betrayed, angry, disgusted.
It's just appalling.
A little frightening.
It's the hugest change I've ever known.
It's just a bully being a big bully, and
screw him. We didn't do nothing to them.
It's a sad, sad state of affairs.
The dumbest trade war in history.
Everything will be high, expensive, yeah.
It's a really, really scary time.
Everybody worried, not only me.
A lot of anxiety, there's no question about that.
I fear that we are heading into a depression.
I just hope that it doesn't last long.
It'll backfire.
He's shooting himself in the foot.
They don't realize what it's going to mean to both countries.
They'll regret this. During 9/11, the Canadians bent over backwards to their best allies during the war. So now it's all down the drain.
Come on, we're supposed to be good neighbors.
Retaliation, yeah, you retaliate, hit them hard.
Flick the switch on the Americans, power companies, whatever.
I do not buy any American products.
No, not a thing. Not a thing. Not a can, good, nothing.
Of course, I buy all the stuff at Canadian.
Pay for it. keep it in Canada. We don't want any part of being the extra state or anything.
We're going to need community now more than ever. We're going to need each other more than ever.
We got to do what we got to do as Canadians.
We'll band together and we'll get through it.
Whatever it takes.
Canada's my country, so I'll support Canada.
Okay, good for you, Canadian oomph, that matters. You got through day one, Canada. We keep hearing from both the United States, U.S. officials, and Canadian leadership that there will be something coming tomorrow. We can knock wood or plexiglass that it's good news. From all of us at The National, thank you for being with us. You can watch anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app and subscribe to The National's YouTube channel. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.